Okay, welcome back. It's Tuesday, and we are continuing to be caught in the middle of an attempted communist, Bolshevik, Zionist overthrow of the United States of America. Disagree? You don't have to listen. That's how it looks to yours truly and the multitude of people who listen to this program. This is an attempted coup d'etat. No doubt, no other possible way to interpret what's going on. The lies, the deceit, the fiction, the fraud, the federal felony criminality is over the top. It's crazy. And when you see the news go up shortly, you'll understand. Devi has a marvelous story up. I put that at the top of headlines earlier today. We've got things from C.J. Hopkins, all manner of people. Brother Nathaniel just put out a completely fact-based analysis of how everything is being run, as only Brother Nathaniel can do. And he did it. We have another story about Rupert Murdoch. All the Murdoch-owned media has turned on President Trump, urging him to cooperate with the regime coup that has been prepared against America. Even Laura Ingraham appears to have stabbed Trump in the back in the story. You'll see it. Was she threatened? I wouldn't be the least surprised. You want to keep your job? We need you to step on board with this general attitude toward President Trump. This is going to be very interesting. This being Saturday's million-person march from the Supreme Court to the White House. I'm expecting a huge turnout. I hope we see it. There'll be a lot of efforts to disarm Americans, make them sit back and not express their feelings, but this could be an unprecedented day in American history. We'll find out very soon. Lawsuits are being filed all over the place. More than 10,000 now. Dead people somehow clawed their way out of the ground or their cremation urns and voted in Michigan. Think about that. Then we have the poor guy in Pennsylvania, the USPS employee, who was talked to by Project Veritas and who signed an affidavit that his superior ordered him to backdate ballots. He has suddenly recanted. Think he might have been threatened? Nah, not a chance, huh? 10 states' attorneys general have joined the Supreme Court case now against Pennsylvania's mail-in ballot deadline. The Supreme Court is going to have its hands very full very quickly. All right, with that, there's a whole lot more to talk about, and up first tonight is the brilliant Mike McGill from Liberty Gold and Silver. Hello, Mike. Welcome back.
Gee, Jeff, it's great to be back, but under these circumstances, I don't know what I'm back from, or where we're going to. You know, it's like really,
well said.
We were living in dystopian times, literally. And if you don't mind, I don't like to get too personal, but I like to share an experience that happened to me over the weekend. If you don't mind,
please. No, I don't mind at all.
Well, here's what had to happen. I have a younger daughter that's having some problems, but she's fighting very, very well against them and doing well. And I felt she needed a little encouragement, so I decided I'd get on a plane and let's see, when I go down there, Saturday I would fly down in the morning into Las Vegas, spend Saturday afternoon, Sunday all day, and Monday morning till mid-afternoon, and come back on a plane. And I also, while I was down there, I promised I'd meet a gentleman that's going to do some sponsorship for our fine company. I met him, and that was very successful, and that part was cool, and it was great to be with my kid and all that.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
But other than that...
So you went off, you went off to Las Vegas with your daughter to have a good time, just to get the hell out of town for a few days, do something different. And you were down there not too long ago, if I don't...
I was down there. We had a grandchild down there, and so and I went down. She's having some problems, and not bad, but I just felt I was critical that I show her some support, so I went down. So it's very interesting. I haven't flown on a plane for about 3.5 years, and I hardly ever fly any of it. I decided to take my my significant other on a vacation once, and she needed it, and so I haven't done that since about 3.5 years, and I think it was 5 or 6 years before that, because I don't like getting felled up at airports and treated rudely by a bunch of Gestapo cretons. So it was difficult for me. So it was so amazing. I walked into the Portland International Airport, and I haven't been in one in about 3.5 years.
Uh-huh.
And it was very quiet. Of course, there's not a lot of traffic. The airport was quite empty because nobody's flying. And there was continual, and everybody was wearing masks and looking very stressed. And then there was these announcements kept playing on the loudspeakers coming out of these, out of the ceilings. Something like you would see in the Minority Report or something, a movie for the Orwellian future ahead of us. And things like almost, I'm not hardly exaggerating, like fellow travelers, please be aware that wearing masks is required at all times. Report any people not protecting themselves against the COVID-19 virus. I mean, things like that. It was being echoing through the building. I went, oh, geez, this is insane. And I just started watching all these people just all standing in line. And you've had some great pictures of sheep with masks on their faces on your website. Yeah. And there was just these hundreds of people standing in line to get scanned. And then this time, as we got closer to the TSA, sometimes they can be a little pleasant. This time they all were wearing shields around their faces plus masks, and they were grouchy, but they were more than grouchy. They were demanding, yelling, move over here, bring your stuff here. Just like absolutely robotic. And you're looking in their eyes, it almost looked like their souls had been completely ossified. I can't describe it, but it was something truly
no
like
humanity.
A science fiction
I
movie.
hear you. Yeah, no humanity.
So,
I understand.
And of course, as I go through, they said you need to step over here. We're going to dust your hands for like a fingerprint. I said, what for? Is it for? Just I don't know what to tell you, but it's for like bomb residue. And I said, you're kidding me, huh? There's no.
What?
I said, then go ahead. Yeah, they did. And then they asked me first, are you over 75 years old? I said, why? You don't test people at 75? I go, no. I said, well, in a year and a half, I will. A year and 4 months, I will be. That's not close enough for you? Do I look like a terrorist threat? And then they frisked me all down, and they made me give them their wallet, and I had a couple $1,000 in there. And I said, you better come back with all the money. I know how much it is. They took that away, sent it back on a tray through that, and it was all there as my ID. And it was just like, it was beyond insulting. It was really, it made me really angry. And, it's a good thing I'm my age now, because when I was about 25, my mind just opened up on a couple of these guys and just got really arrested in big trouble, because I felt like that. That's what it made me feel like. It's like completely outrageous. And then on the plane, it was everybody, they're continuing with very gruff, and not to be crude here, because I'm not into objectifying women, but when I used to fly back when I was younger, there were a lot of very attractive stewardesses that were perky and cute, and now they're all not that way, and all overweight, and in various forms of I don't say different sexual persuasions, and you know what I'm talking about, and they were gruff and nasty and threatening. If you like push a button here, she's not all the way up, sit down, push it for you, and I'm telling you, it was really a bad attitude. And it was just like, wow. So then when I got down to Las Vegas, the place was way more empty when I was there over the Labor Day weekend, like way more, because now it's cold, getting cold, and there's no anything there, and there's no holidays,
right.
And that place was really empty. I forget there's connecting to the Venetian. I walked inside there to get a cab with my daughter, and we walked to the side. They have a connecting casino that connects with the Venetian. They're part of the same, owned by Adelson, the great casino operator. And by the way, he may be selling his whole stuff at 6 cents on the dollar because they're going bankrupt.
Who is this?
Adelson, the wealthy Zionist.
Oh, Sheldon Adelson.
Sheldon Adelson.
He's 6 cents on the dollar?
about 6 cents on the dollar. They sell his whole holdings there for like $6 billion. They're probably worth, because they're losing so much money. He wants to get something. He's going to continue his operations in Macau. I've read. Okay, and in Asia.
Yeah, I read that.
All right. So in any case, the name escapes me of the side casino. It's in conjunction. They're combined with the Venetian. I walked in that door from this corner of the street of Las Vegas Boulevard. Walked into their giant gaming tables area where they play blackjack and roulette and all that. And they had about, I would guess, 250 tables there, and they all have the plexiglass screens among all the players in front of the dealer.
A good time was had by all. I get it.
An exciting time was had by all. Well, here's what was really astounding. This was something that just dropped me. I mean, out of 300 to 400 tables in this enormous gymnasium of a room, just gigantic, there were 2 dealers dealing out of 400 tables. I just walked around the edges. There was nobody in it. When I mean nobody, just me and my daughter and I, excuse me, a little quick English here, and just a few players. There might have been 10 or 12 people gambling on something set up for 4,000 or 5,000.
Las Vegas, Mike, what you're saying is, and I have friends down there, Las Vegas is dead. It's dying. No, it's on life support, and it may be too late. It's dead. What are they? How can this possibly come back as long as this virus is around to threaten the sheep?
Yeah, to threaten the sheep. It's not coming back. I don't know what kind of deals they're cutting with the major players because they're going to lose all their fortunes. They must have made some with them. The world central banks are going to make them whole on the back end of this whole thing after they shut the whole world down. That's my personal belief somehow. Cryptocurrency and the money or do something. Who knows what. Any case, on the way back, I spent 2 days down there. It was a little stressful, but it was good. I was very happy to leave because I can only handle that town for a few days.
So quick question.
Yeah.
The overall energy in Las Vegas is
overall energy is zero and very depressed in all the entertainment, gaming, resorts, hotels. All that industry is just beyond depressed and gloomy beyond words. Just really gloomy. And I mean, so gloomy that it's hard to describe. So, in any case, now I'm coming back, and my buddy dropped me off. He's my real good friend. I've known him since 14 years old. He's a young kid. Everybody's a kid to me at my age, but he's in his early 40s. A great guy. And he drove me around a bit. Like, it's a lot cheaper than taking a taxi and all that. And I don't like taking Uber, so we drove me around for a couple of days, helped me out. Drove me to the airport, and he got a little bit lost because he's lived there a couple of years, but he doesn't get out much around to the airport and stuff. And it's a giant complex, McCarran Air Base. But anyway, he dropped me off in a bad place. Had to walk across a couple of buildings. Got a little bit lost. I finally found my way into this giant inner sanctum of a massive airport, and it likewise was like really empty. I mean, there was hardly anybody. So then I worked my way up to the floor where you get your boarding pass. You type in your name, and then it goes, what airline are you on? And then you click the airline, and then your name, and what your date, and then it prints you out a boarding pass. Well, I thought, I hate doing electronic stuff. I said, there must be somebody here. I could just, a regular ticket agent, I could just walk up. Well, guess what? There's none in that part at all. None. I don't think they even have them anymore. But that's not the most amazing part. The amazing part is they had all these signs for hundreds of airlines, literally, that used to come into Las Vegas. They get nonstop from London and 4 or 5 cities in China and Japan, 3 or 4 airports in Japan and the Philippines and South America. There's just not hundreds, but dozens and dozens and dozens of airports, and they have all these machines with their names on them. So this looked like something, because they're like little independent computer terminals you punch your buttons in. And this thing probably extends, I would think, maybe 1,000 feet of that or something. I mean, there's just rows and rows and rows for these different airlines with all these mega numerous terminals for each airline. There were just thousands of them. And I was the only single that whole complex getting a boarding pass when I was there at 6:30 in the afternoon yesterday. I was the only one there at all.
I worked there for 3 years.
Person.
It's dead. It's dead. It's dead. It's not dying. It's dead. And it's not going to come back.
It's stone dead, and it's not coming back. You know, and then as I walked through the mask thing, I had to wait about an hour, and so I always board last. I like to sit on the plane. So I started
Same airline going back?
Same airline going back.
Okay.
And they were even more gruff and nasty on the way back. I'll get to that in a second. But in any case, that's when it really hit me. And that's why I'm going to start the program. I want to give my I hope you don't take a little too much time to give my own anecdotal experience. I don't really like to do that, but
it's important.
It hit me.
No, these snapshots are very important.
These masks may never go away. It hit me. They don't intend to, even when everybody's well. This is going to become maybe a permanent feature in the world because it's showing complete control and obedience over people. It really hit me. I said, that's what they intend at the least. And then on the way back, I got on the plane, and you have to keep your face covered unless you're eating or drinking. So I was drinking a bottle of some organic cranberry juice I bought in the airport. And the lady come by and get a bunch of crap, and I said, see, I'm drinking. So we have to be drinking it regularly. I said, I'm going to take as much time as I need to drink this as I want to, and I'm not wearing a mask.
You have to keep the mask on unless you're no, in other words, you have to drink constantly, or you got to have that mask on.
Yeah, so I told her I'm not going to do that, so you can have me arrested. I'm just going to drink this at my leisure because I'm an old guy. And I don't like to chug stuff. I can't put a beer down in 3 seconds like I did when I was 22. Okay?
I'm surprised they don't give you a straw and have you tuck it under the mask and drink it that way.
That's coming next. Trust me. In any case, so today I started doing research for the program. I read a lot of stuff, and I subscribe to Summit News, which is Paul Joseph Watson's site, and I really always liked his journalism. I think he's a great guy. He is a great journalist, and he's got a great sense of humor. And he's got a whole series of articles going on about the Davos crowd and the globalist Klaus Schwab, who looks like and has a personality and face like an Auschwitz
He's a ghoul.
He's like the commissioner of Auschwitz or something. I mean, he has that kind of aspect.
He's a ghoul.
He's a complete ghoul. And a New World Order non-human entity. And so Paul is doing a great job covering him. And so I'd like just to quote a few lines from this article, which is just incredible. Sure. This Klaus, Big Klaus Daddy, came out with a book this summer called. It was published. He's the head, by the way, of the World Economic Forum. That's the people that run Davos.
WEF. That's right. No, I know who you mean. I got a picture of him in my head right now.
Power source of the universe. They tell all the central banks what to do exactly. Made this assertion. He's written a book. It's a new book. Came out this July called COVID-19: The Great Reset. That's the actual title. Then, and he says in this book he quotes, Klaus asserts that, quote, the world, quote, will never return to normal, despite admitting that coronavirus, quote, doesn't pose a new existential threat, end quote. Goodness sakes, what does that mean? That means they just decided to do this, and they just need an excuse for it, in other words. Let me see what else he said here. He said, here's another quote from this Schwab character. Many of us are pondering when things will return to normal. The short response is never. Nothing will ever return to the, quote, broken sense of normalcy that prevailed prior to the crisis.
Broken sense of normalcy. Broken sense.
Like the broken sense. So where we normally conduct our lives when we have freedom. See, that's broken to him. That prevailed
that's
prior
correct.
to the crisis.
That's correct. You got it. Yep. That's how they think.
That's how they think. It's broken to people who have their own privileges and run around and just being regular human beings. They don't like that at all because they're the control freaks beyond all control freaks. In study says prior to the crisis, broken sense of normalcy prevailed prior to the crisis because the coronavirus pandemic marks a fundamental inflection point in our global trajectory, end quote.
Yeah. I get it.
Oh,
no, look what masks do to people. We know they breed bacteria, and they can actually give you lung diseases from the bacteria in the mask. We know they also cause a loss of personality and a decoupling from your fellow man and woman. You cannot... how are you going to get to know someone in a masked environment?
You know, I always talk about...
You need to see someone's face to understand, or at least get an idea.
On the airplane, everybody's sitting two the aisle, people in between the aisles, and the middle seats are all empty. I always talk to people on airplanes because I'm an outgoing guy, and I'm curious. I like people a lot. Nobody talked to anybody. I never talked to the lady next to me. She just sat her face buried in watching a movie with a mask on. Nobody looks at anybody. It's just like complete automatons getting ready to go right to the slaughter chute.
No, they're down. They're done. This is it. See, and the other thing is oxygen deprivation. You're breathing carbon dioxide back in. You're no longer having the necessary oxygen for your brain to fully function. There is some talk about actual physiological brain damage from a lack of oxygen.
Of course it is.
Apoxia.
Especially apoxia, especially if it's continual. Dave, I looked at,
That's right.
you have an advertisement coming up. I'll talk after the break there. I didn't mean to
hold on. Let's do the break. We want to, again, remind all of you that these are the best products in the world that I've ever come across. They have been with this program for years. And I would deeply appreciate it if you buy and send them a little note thanking them for their sponsorship and support of our First Amendment and our Constitution. Hold on. We'll be right back with Mike. What you're describing is a world that has lost a good deal of its humanity, its humility, its kindness. And what you're saying about airline stewards and stewardesses, they used to be kind and polite, and they really did enjoy their work. It sounds horrible, what you're saying. Who the hell would want to fly in that kind of an environment? Wow.
I mean, first of all, these people, they're working 8-10-hour shifts with masks on their face, even walking around continuously. And all the hotel staff and everything, you just see the stress that causes you. Well, I never wear masks. I live in a county that doesn't require it. You can walk into several restaurants and bars in our county and nobody cares. You walk in, sit down, have a nice day. No, it's not enforced. We buy, Janice goes shopping, and we only do it a couple times a month. I don't go, she does. And I stay home and work on our land and do stuff or just trip around, because I'm kind of nomadic. I work for myself because I choose to. So I don't really get a chance to interface with people just wearing masks continuously all the time. And man, it really hit me how depressing this is. It's like imprisonment of your lungs.
What takes your personality away? The Arabs found this out over 1,000 years ago. They would make prisoners wear masks. It breaks them.
Yeah. It breaks them. Yes. You're nothing. You're just a mask. You have no soul. You have no name. You have no face. You're nobody. That's exactly what this is creating here. There's no doubt about that. Undoubtedly so. Here's a couple more last quotes here by this Klaus piece of human excrement. He said, radical changes of such consequences are coming that some pundits have referred to as before coronavirus, BC, and after coronavirus, AC era. We will continue to be surprised by both the rapidity and unexpected nature of these changes. As they conflate with each other, they will provoke second, third, fourth, and more order consequences, cascading effects, and unforeseen outcomes.
Well, it's the SOB is telling us what they've got planned.
They're going to tear it apart. You will not believe it. I mean, we got hell on earth coming.
What's the name of the book?
Now.
You remember, Mike?
Yeah, the name of the book, let me see, I saved it. The name of the book he wrote, published last year by the Davos crowd, is called COVID-19, the Great Reset, by, what's his name again?
Right.
By
I just want to
Klaus
get the full
Schwab.
title.
Klaus
Schwab. Where do you see this guy, friends?
Oh,
look it up. Just look it up.
Take a look at his face.
Yeah.
Here's
he doesn't look like he's from this planet.
Now, this is being carried into the armed forces as well. Here's a little, I'm just going to read directly from another report by Joseph Paul Watson. During a speech at the U.S. Army's annual conference, Bruce Jetta, Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology, said that measures implemented across the country will remain in place across the defense industry to protect against the shutdown of protection facilities. He also suggested that the restrictions should remain in place for the general public. Quote, I don't know that I would ever say it's totally back to normal, said Jetta. I don't see us backing off of using these same techniques on a contouring basis, even as the vaccine continues to mature. I would say we don't back off the COVID-19 standard because it will also reduce the impact of flu and other illnesses, he added. We think continuing to apply these same techniques will be further beneficial to the people and to the Army overall. In other words, eternal enslavement, physically, with mass social distancing, everything else. Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yes, so there's another thing. I mean, these two quotes are amazing. Now, here's another thing. I read from another source, but I just brought it up under Paul Watson's title. And this guy, I've never been a fan of the Catholic Church because of all their hideous actions over the last 2,000 years to destroy humanity. But this guy is pretty cool. Archbishop writes open letter to Trump. It came out. It was published, I believe, actually today. And this guy is quite a neat guy. This is Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, and
I ran it.
Did you read it?
Very important. Very important. I ran it. Yeah.
No, I missed that one, Jeff. I can't get all your article. I try to read them all, but I'll just read one quote for that here. He just said, we see the heads of nation and religious leaders panting to the suicide of Western culture and its Christian soul, while the fundamental rights of citizens and believers are denied in the name of a health emergency that is revealing itself more and more fully as instrumental to the establishment of an inhuman, faceless tyranny. That's pretty brave for a guy like that. Probably he won't be around for too long. And then he quotes the last part. The purpose of I think it extols what's happening here just perfectly. It really syncs it up. The purpose of the Great Reset is the imposition of a health dictatorship aiming at the imposition of liberticidal measures hidden behind tempting promises of ensuring universal income and canceling individual debt. The price of these concessions from the International Monetary Fund will be the renunciation of private property, adherence to a program of vaccination against COVID-19 and COVID-21 promoted by Bill Gates and with the collaboration of the main pharmaceutical groups.
Okay, now, you went through that very quickly. I want to go back. What they're talking about, read that more slowly and let me just, if I may, interrupt.
Yeah, I did so fast. The purpose of the Great Reset is the imposition of a health dictatorship aiming at the imposition of liberticidal measures hidden behind tempting promises of ensuring a universal basic income and canceling individual debt. Okay,
that's it. Read that last sentence of sharing.
Yeah, of ensuring a universal income and cancel individual debt. In other words, it's a trade-off. You do what we tell you, and we will cancel like student debts or things, and the price of that is you will renunciate ownership of your personal property, including real estate. He goes back further on.
Let me back up just a little. You got it. You nailed it. Okay, I've been talking about this too. It's in his book. They're promising that they will make available to all of us debt forgiveness, especially student loan debt and all that, credit card debt. I'm not sure about mortgage debt. I suspect mortgage debt. And all you have to do to get that, plus your UBI, your Universal Basic Income, right? All you have to do is sign an affidavit document that you will never own real estate for the rest of your life. You will only rent and you will only lease. And part 2 of that is you promise you will get the shot, the vaccine.
That's correct.
And that's all you have to do.
And you'll have it. Nothing serious. Just, you just trade your entire life for a little bit of so-called
Can you imagine
security.
what's in that vaccine? If you study nanotechnology, we're talking about the ability of what's in that vaccine to change your DNA, your genetics, to literally, I believe, cause your life to stop anytime they choose. Those are send and receive nanobots. They're going to attach to your central nervous system. They know where to go. And they'll just have literally be able to wipe out tens of millions of people in a matter of an hour just by going through, setting the right code, and pushing the execute button. And I mean that literally.
Yeah, literally. So this is what we're up against here. We're up against a very, very, very serious enemy, and the people better start fighting back with everything they've got. One of the reasons we know for a fact. You can just know one thing about the human spirit, it's been beat down. It's been beat down throughout history. It's been beat down. It was beat down by the Roman Empire when they conquered countries. But it's somehow the desire for freedom.
Any power structure beats it down. Even organized religion, it beats down the individuality.
Yeah, that's what it does. But somehow this spirit continues to function because it's in the DNA of human beings. Actually, it's a part of their karmic code, if you will. And I think
maybe no longer after they give us the shot. Maybe that'll be one of the things that will be genetically removed or altered.
It might be alter empathy, compassion, that kind of thing.
Oh, yes.
Affect that area of the brain. Shut it down.
They'll roboticize the people. Yeah.
Yeah, that could well be. And so the people are going to have to fight this. I think it'll be a massive I can foresee a massive black market of just Herculean proportions of people trading, owning things, doing stuff, hiding out, creating, counterfeit vaccination cards, paying off barter, all that. That's what's going to happen. There's also going to I think it's going to be probably world violent revolution. Certainly in the countries, a few places we can actually own weapons, which is the United States. And they're not there. That's why they've been trying to get rid of them for major decades, because this is what their intent always was.
Now, don't forget, if Biden is allowed to get in, he has promised he's coming for our assault weapons, which are not assault weapons; they're defensive weapons with enough firepower to actually protect us.
Yes. I doubt that anybody will turn him in. They'll just say, we lost him. We got to fight. We know we have burglary. Here's my report. They're not turning their gold either. They're not turning their guns. I think one thing about the people that own gold and guns are very, very similar. It doesn't matter. Some are, religious, some are non-religious, whatever. We deal with all kinds of people, but all of these people that we deal with have a very strong sense of human identity and love of freedom and independence. And it's that way all over the planet. And I think in the United States, New Zealand and Australia bow down to this incredibly. One thing about the United States, it was based on the most extreme irreverence in the history of the world. Giving the middle finger to the British Empire was something that was so unconscious that nobody could even conceive that happened. When Prince George, I read this when he found out that the colonies had declared war against him. He was crazy anyhow, but he went into a hysterical fit and actually fell off the throne laughing. He got laughed so hard that he started choking. They had to slap his back and get him back together. He could hardly breathe. He had like an hysterical laughing fit.
He almost swallowed his tongue.
He almost swallowed his tongue. He thought it was so crazy he couldn't imagine it. Well, we have to find that spirit again if we're going to make it through this, and tell these guys to go screw themselves. And we're not doing it. Make me. Let's see. All right, start.
I think
it's going to come to that.
I think it is going to come to that, and I think that most people are going to go down fighting. And I think that might have something to do with the Deagle.com projection that the population of the United States in 4 years will only be 99 million people.
It's going to be reduced dramatically. Yeah. That could well be true. Yeah, you covered that, I think, in one of the programs. That was brilliant, and I agree with that. That might be it, because they know that these people are not taking this, at least sitting down. There's no way that's going to happen, and who knows? History has been replete with impossible victories against incredible odds. I think one of the most amazing books, if you people can still, your listeners, Jeff, can find this in old bookstores or somewhere on the web. It was printed in the late 1940s, and it's called Finland Fights, and it's a story about little Finland fighting off an invasion of the troops of the Soviet Union.
Sure.
Of the Soviet Union, and they fought them in the freezing winter at 30, 40 below zero, and they had tanks and things, and they fought them to a standstill. They had to give a little bit of the isthmus there between the Baltic and the Lake Ladoga, but they lost very little of their territory, and eventually they suffered so badly, were so humiliated in their fierce hand-to-hand guerrilla tactics, fighting in white snow gear and things on skis, that Stalin actually sued for peace. That's the truth. So that shows you what a concerned, fierce group of resistance can do. And I think, another great book I read is called The Vietnam Wars. I forget the name. The name is Patricia something that wrote it. She's a professor of history at a small, what used to be considered a liberal arts college in western Pennsylvania. She researched 30 years and then wrote the book. It's incredible. It's called The Vietnam Wars. I think it's like 1935 to 1975. And she outlines this incredible heroic struggle of the Vietnamese to fight the French, to fight the Japanese, to fight the French again, and then to fight us, where they were just continuously bombed, tortured, beaten, raped, killed, shelled, Agent Orange, just endlessly, but they never stopped. And eventually they prevailed against incredibly superior forces, just incredibly, okay? So it's doable. It's absolutely doable. But the people got to get really willing to give up. Okay, we got to make it. We're going to make it happen. Whatever sacrifice we have to do, it's worth it, because our future of our children, our offspring, our grandchildren, the future of liberty and the whole planet depends on the United States retaining its constitutional republic somehow. We must do that. It is critical. Okay, I think that's. So I'm getting political tonight.
You couldn't phrase it more perfectly. The big question here, one of them, is will the U.S. military, under orders, fire against American men, women, and children? I don't think most of them will. And I think that's why you're going to see the United Nations troops come in here. They will be engaged by our military, who will support our country, our republic. And a lot of people are going to die. That's what's going to happen. I'm not sure I have the scenario right. It could be another bioweapon like coronavirus, COVID-19. They're already talking about COVID-21.
21, it's on the drawing board.
Is it a mutation or is it another form? Is it SARS 3.0? This is SARS 2.0. I don't have an answer
SARS
for you.
SARS 4.5. They're like they turn out viruses like Microsoft turns out operating systems.
No joke.
My goodness. Not trying to be black humor here today, but we talk a little bit, Jeff, about a little financial stuff because that's what I'm supposed to do. So I'm sorry I got far afield there tonight, but
it's okay. It was very interesting and very important. And let me remind everyone, Mike McGill is one of the owners of LibertyGoldAndSilver.com. LibertyGoldAndSilver.com. Call them. Just talk to them if you have any questions. They're the best. Go ahead, Mike. For listeners who haven't bought gold and silver, you've got to become your own central bank. They're coming after the banks next. On the program later, I was going to get to it, I talked too much. The Bank of Japan is now paying banks to consolidate and lay off their employees so they can survive. The
balance sheet of the Bank of Japan is now 130% of their entire gross domestic product. They've been doing this for 35, 40 years. They're at the very end of the end game. They're about ready to go completely under. This is happening as we speak tonight. Now, what we were talking in past programs is the Fed can try to keep, they want to keep interest rates between 0 and 25%, that kind of idea. That's their Fed's funds rate for overnight lending. And they've jammed that, 10-year Treasury all the way down to, I think, 0.46% all-time low, 0.46%, which is so psychotic. As people should know, and maybe they don't know, but all credit cards, rates, mortgage rates, any kind of blending like that goes off the interest rate of the 10-year Treasury. Well, today they had a Treasury auction, and what happened was the 10-year Treasury note had a massive jump from like 72 to 96 today in interest rate. It was gigantic. They sold $41 billion in 10-year paper today, which incidentally was a record-size auction for that for midweek, and double the average auction size in the period between 2010 and 2018. And the rates went all the way up, almost want to take out 1%. What does this mean? Inflation is on the way. What that's going to do is start hurting real estate values later and businesses because they have to borrow. But what it's going to do is going to jam up consumer costs and products, food, clothing, anything else people need to survive day to day. That's on the way. It probably will be a harbinger of increased, definitely price inflation. And as this gets going, even though the Fed can try to buy it all, they'll have to just keep raising their balance sheet and just monetize it. It's still going to be inflationary. So this is a big jump in that, and a lot of people that were on the wrong side of that, going long bonds, meaning they think that bonds move in inverse direction to interest rates. So people were very long in U.S. Treasuries, got really crushed today. I understand losses of some hundreds of billions were lost today in trading in the last 2 days in Treasuries. Mm-hmm. When they now, another thing what happened yesterday, of course, the Pfizer, gold was up at 1960, doing very well. About our West Coast time, 4 o'clock in the morning, Pfizer announced they had a perfect 95% success rate for this new COVID-19 virus.
Another one. 95%. What about the 5% that didn't succeed? Are they dead?
Yeah, what about them?
Do we know? What do we know
they've already
about
They've already
this?
had 4 or 5 companies announce those, and the market's jammed up. The Dow went up almost 1,500 points, greatest run-up in one day in history, but then it sold off all the way back to 800 and change, and it was down today, and it's down in futures tonight. So it's like a one-day wonder, up big, real strong, like frenetic buying, frenetic selling of bonds because they're more safer. Let's go where the money is in the stock market. And gold got clobbered $112, but it's $25 off the low, back up, pushing about 1980. And we expect in a couple of days it'll get back over 1900 and keep moving higher. This is these announcements are announced to try to stimulate the stock market and, of course, repress precious metals and other things like that. In cryptocurrency, anything that's an alternate investment. Sure. But this is going to continue. But we've noticed it's happened a few times this year. It's very short-lived. Pretty soon they can actually won't be ready for 3-4 years, but that kind of idea, and then maybe, and who knows, and then the market returns back to more risk-on investments, or risk-off investments in this case. We want things are safer. We want to go for stability. We'll go back into precious metals. So that's happening. A couple of other things, real briefly here. Airlines are failing around the world. They continue to be. One of the second largest, I think it's the third largest airline in Mexico, called Interjet. It is declared bankruptcy. It is one of 3 Mexican airlines and 4 South American airlines. Some of those airlines that used to fly into Las Vegas out of like Sao Paulo and Rio, places like that, because the wealthy South Americans love Las Vegas for heavy gambling. They're some of the biggest whales in history. and those airlines are going under. There's massive losses in those. Also, Delta Airlines actually owns a big stake in several of these failed and bankrupt South American and Mexican airlines. That's what this article is reporting in Wall Street. So that's what, and of course now Delta is asking for billions and billions and billions of dollars along with other American airlines to supposedly keep alive. Well, maybe if they hadn't been, investing their money in very dubious, foreign ventures and tending to business.
You're
and not
talking
trying to
about
use all
accountability here.
Accountability.
It's not their fault. They're victims.
It's not their fault. They're victims. Again, the dirty COVID virus got them. Another thing happening tonight, reporting, ExxonMobil reporting, they are laying off 1,900 high-paying jobs of their executives and middle management in Houston, in the town alone. 1,900 going down now. Yeah. Also, Chevron, meanwhile, announced it cut a quarter of the jobs at Noble Energy. That's a natural gas company that Chevron owns. They're cutting a quarter of those today. That continues. There's a list here I had real fast to run to the end of the show, just a few things. Neiman Marcus is closing the last of their last call centers. This is all this breaking. So CVS pharmacies are all over the Southwest. They're just announcing they're closing 22 stores. Nothing serious. Just another couple ones real fast here. Chuck E. Cheese is saying goodbye to 34 locations. Lloyd & Taylor closed all 38 stores. High-end clothing stores, Zara, they closed 44 stores. In the U.S., they were real high-end, high-tech clothing, but 1,000 globally. Nothing serious, just 1,000 clothing stores worldwide.
Don't worry about it.
Et cetera.
These people will be fine. There's always another freeway overpass they can sleep under. Don't worry.
There's always one there. Don't worry, it's okay. It's going to be. We're going to just work from home. What are you going to work behind? What are you going to work from home doing?
Well, what home are you going to work from?
What home are you going to work from? That's the next question. Yeah, when you get evicted or get foreclosed on or evicted, what are you working from? Yeah. Okay.
Well,
so
you'll be working from under the freeway overpass with your laptop open on some kind of Wi-Fi or something.
A little portable solar cell or something like that. Trying to.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the latest plan.
What do we know very quickly about switching to digital? What's the time frame on that? Digital dollars or whatever they call them.
Digital world currency. Don't have.
They probably call them eagles.
The Eagles don't know. They're going to try to do it as quickly as they possibly can. I'll say one thing: they're going to have to base it on something. There are some rumors that, and I'm not saying this. They're going to lay it out. They're going to tie it to gold because it's the only thing they can do that is a consistent amount, is a storehouse of value that can't be counterfeited and can't be enlarged. Right. For a consistent economy and proper banking. And basically, to conclude the program here tonight, if that was the case, based on dollars in circulation in the world, in the U.S. dollars, which is the world reserve currency, just that alone, to make that a fair trade-off, the value of gold would have to move to about somewhere between $100,000 and $130,000 per ounce in current purchasing power. So, just a thought for people out there who haven't decided they're quite ready to buy this. Maybe you want to get your money out. By the way, when you go after the money, the bank, you will not have access to your funds. They will be traded out at maybe 1 to 4 or 1 to 6 to the new. Will be heavy discounts. We are encouraging people to buy gold and silver and put it away before that happens, so you're not left out there naked as a scarecrow in the wintertime. I left out part of it. Kind of an ugly joke there, but I'll leave that alone.